Good morning, Caleb. It is Friday, the 24th of July. Good Lord. 24th of July. Why does that ring a bell? Ah, for all the Mormons out there, it's Pioneer Day, I believe. Yeah. Being raised up in that religious persuasion, I seem to remember something about the 24th of July being a holiday or something. Anyways, we don't worry about that anymore because we're just dirty little unbelievers now. Anyways, there's a lot of them around here in Idaho. Anyways, yeah, all more to the point of today we're looking at webcam via my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I got a little Belkin webcam holder thingy. Basically, it sits on your monitor. Not via magnets, I was kind of annoyed, but it just kind of clips on your top of your monitor, and then it's got a MagSafe to hold your iPhone. Seems to work pretty good. I figured to get a little bit better facial focus. I don't know. We'll see. Seems to be getting better white balance, so that's good. The other stuff was looking pretty flat. I know why it was looking flat, but anyways. Also, that lets me re-rig up my Sigma FP because I was running it just kind of bare, just the camera. But as you can see here, it is all rigged up for cinema or stills. But yeah, I've got my little deep inside here is a Sigma FP. I've got a Sigma viewfinder. Essentially, it's just a viewfinder with a diopter so you can see the screen in broad daylight, which is a problem with this camera. It's got a pretty worthless screen. And we've got a TTArtisan get around here. There we go. 40 millimeter f 2.0 lens. Pretty nice little lens. A lot of focus lens. And then we've got a infrared filter, which is why we're looking at the Kalari Vision page here. But so I sent you some photos, as you can see below me here. Some photos down here of just walking around town. Before I re-rigged it all up, I was just walking around town with just the camera and the lens and the filter. And I was trying to take infrared photographs. But since this R72 filter blocks about 90% of visible light, and the camera's built-in IR cut filter blocks about 90% of infrared light, there's not a lot left to make an exposure with. And so I was looking at really long exposure times, even wide open at f2. Half a second was pretty common, up to like almost a full second, and me just hand holding it. So a lot of them are kind of weird. And since this camera doesn't have a physical shutter, instead of just like a smooth motion drag look, there's kind of like this choppy. It's an interesting look. I'll point it out in some of the photos. So anyway, this week I was just obsessing with infrared, and the whole world of light that we can't see with our human eyes, but the machines can see with their machine vision. Anyways, what got me interested in it was just basically rummaging through my camera gear. I've got it all kind of in a big box right now. All my filters. I was looking for a different filter, but I remembered I had this IR72 filter, and I thought, oh yeah, what the heck, I should try that. And because I'd seen this pop up on Instagram about how Kalari Vision had a full spectrum converted Blackmagic cinema camera that they used on this Netflix show of Lord of the Flies. And it gives you this look. If you have a full spectrum converted camera from Kalari Vision, and then you buy Kalari Vision's IR chrome filter, it gives you this very convincing aerochrome look. And if you're not familiar with Kodak's aerochrome, I don't know, it's fun film that is now sadly extinct, like so many good films. But anyways, so yeah, maybe a full spectrum camera in my future. I thought about converting the Sigma FP, but I don't know. Probably don't want to destroy it because it's not available anymore. They don't make them anymore. I saw you can still get an FP and an FPL for decent prices on KEH the other day, but do I want to buy more cameras? These guys at Clary Vision have a nice used Lumix S5 with full spectrum conversion for like $2,200, and I'm like, maybe not right now, maybe in the future, save up my pennies. But anyways, let's look at Resolve. So let me flip over to, yeah, look at that. Now the neat thing about infrared is, like I said, this is not a full spectrum converted camera, so we're basically just starving it for exposure. But as you can see, weird stuff happens, like foliage and plants look white because for the most part, plants will reflect infrared light quite a lot, which is why they look white, if I'm understanding it correctly. Let me put this lens cap back on my Sigma there. The little TTArtisan lens, you wouldn't know it from these photos because these are pretty handheld, long exposures, but that little TTArtisan lens can really do quite nicely. Anyways, yeah, see here's motion blur, a lot of motion blur, but the clouds do weird things. I was just basically I could hardly see anything on the back of the display, so I'm basically just point and pray, I guess. I don't know. So this neat tree here, I don't know. It just looks real otherworldly. And if we zoom into 100%, you can see it's real grainy because I had to really push the exposure. And even though it's only 100 ISO, as you can see, but this is 1 second exposure at 100 ISO. And then I just had to, push it a lot in post. But as you can see, my wife, who was walking around town with me, it's like there's like an echo effect. There's not a smooth blur of her moving. There kind of is on her legs, I suppose. But you can see like kind of her arm here, and then you can see her arm here, and her head, in kind of two places at once, and it's just kind of weirdly ghostly. Kind of love it. So yeah, that's a neat effect that happens. And what else? We had this funeral home. So it says funeral parking there. It's near my house, and one side of it is just like covered in ivy. So looking at this, with your naked eyes, this is just real deep, rich green ivy just overgrowing the whole side of this building. And at half a second exposure, this is relatively, I don't know, it's pretty shaky. I was going to say it's relatively good. No, it's not. But yeah, I should grab a tripod and really try to do this properly, because look at that. I mean, it's cool looking, right? I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. Then I had this one of the clouds. Look at that. Now, to my eye, that's not really what the clouds look like. Between the smoke, the kind of hazy, smoky skies that we've had from all the wildfires here in Idaho, or actually over in Oregon, all the wildfire smoke is drifting over to us. It's been really, really sucky lately, but the clouds did not look like this at all. They just look like, the sky just looked like a solid gray overcast, essentially. But the infrared, if I understand it correctly, the infrared light, or photographing in infrared light, or photographing with infrared light, just cuts haze like really well. So, yeah, kind of cool. I didn't really get much else interesting because, as you can see, there's kind of a rose bush. It's more, I was just basically looking for interesting plants and foliages and stuff. I'm trying to get something interesting. I took this one from the balcony of the library, just kind of looking out over the town. Nothing great. Although you can kind of see like an angle of like light rays coming through the clouds as well. It's kind of neat, kind of cool. It's kind of faint, but it's sort of there. And there's only 1/10 of a second. Look at that. Got some motion blur of a car here. But yeah, obviously determining what I was trying to focus on was difficult because, like I said, I could not see hardly anything on the screen. The screen looked pretty much dark because you're just starving the sensor for light at this point. So yeah, everything's just kind of weird. This one's almost sharp, but not really. And yeah, craziness. So anyway, so let's look at what I did to get these images to look interesting. Scooch this down a little bit so we can look at our thing here. And basically, if we look at what does this look like if we turn off all the weird stuff that I did. Okay, so here's our original. And you're like, oh, that doesn't look so bad. But actually, so we've got a custom white balance, which is pretty crazy, and some exposure. But if we look at what it looked like out of the camera, it looked like this. Right? Pretty kind of reddish purplish, pretty low, as you can see here, pretty low low image exposure. Not a lot of light getting to the sensor. It's just black coffee today. Black coffee with a white cup because it's black and white. No. Yeah, so pretty much with this camera setup, like I said, without it being a full spectrum converted camera, there's not a good way to get color out of it. So let's go ahead and undo my changes. Come on, there we go. So came up with this white balance just because it gave me the most exposure before I pumped the exposure up a little bit. This white balance is, as you change the white balance a lot of times on any photo, you'll see that the exposure does kind of move up and down. So this white balance, while not being correct, was giving me the most exposure, had the channels boosted the most. So the next thing we did was we used a screen, and even though the highlights were in, I think, no danger of blowing out, I did my normal ramping down the highlights just so that our screen blend mode, composite mode, I keep saying blend mode, I got to get out of Photoshop nomenclature and talk resolve. So composite mode, as you can see, is screen. And honestly, probably would not have hurt to just leave this unramped, but you know, I figure there's some highlights there that we got to keep, maybe, I don't know. Just habits, just the way I like to work. And then this is, I believe, my soft light. Let's look. Our composite mode here, yep, is soft light. And soft light I use just to give us some contrast. And as you can see, I've ramped it so that it's doing most of the effect right in the middle. If you were thinking like middle gray, the middle values of the image. And at pure black, if there were such a thing as pure black in this image, which doesn't look like there is, and at pure white, which there certainly isn't any pure white, it ramps off the effect. And again, this is just my normal habit. A lot of times I'll turn this pivot point down You can drag it down or up. I don't know why it's not letting me drag it down. You can drag it low, drag it high. There we go. Yeah, you can move it, and as you can see, it just changes where the pivot is. If you were thinking in terms of like using the contrast. Again, you could probably get the same effect by using the contrast and the pivot, but you know, just the way I like to work. So that's what I did there. And then this node is a, I'm trying to remember what I did there. This node is a channel swap. And channel swapping is pretty interesting. You can do it quickly by just clicking one of these. Swap blue and red, swap red and green, swap green and blue. I swapped blue and red. So red output is now blue and blue output is now red in the channels. Doesn't really make a big difference. Apparently, if you have a full spectrum converted IR camera or a full spectrum converted camera, it's not just IR, but UV, all kinds of cool stuff. If you have a full spectrum camera and you do channel swapping, you can do interesting stuff, make the colors look real wild. But as you can see, there's no real color in this image, so channel swap didn't do a whole lot of anything. So probably don't even need to do that. And then this one is where we turned it monochrome. And as you can see, we played around, we boosted up the red channel a little bit. I think you'd asked me before about black and white. When you're doing black and white in Resolve, basically you just pop over here to your RGB mixer and you tick on that monochrome box. A lot of times you would leave preserve luminance on, but you don't have to. When you untick preserve luminance, changing these values will change the brightness of the image, see? So, but it'll also change the tonality of the image. Not so much on this one, really, honestly, because they're just, like I said, isn't really a lot of color here. And so, yeah. But it's certainly fun to play with when you're doing black and white. Stills or video. All this works the same in stills or video. And then this one is where we did our final contrast. So we've got our, it says I did something in the primaries here, but I don't remember doing anything in the primaries here. So let's just redo that. Oh, something happened. Do that. Yeah. And then nothing there. And then here, what we did was we played around with the contrast and the pivot. Look at that. So yeah, play around with your contrast and pivot. It will add contrast. And then your pivot is where, see where your contrast pivot point is. Where do brights get brighter and darks get darker? I don't think it was there. Where did I put it? Leave it there. That's pretty good. Anyways, yeah. So I try to get it to where we're getting a little bit. Just get our distribution right, kind of in the middle. Unless it looks weird, and then drop it down a little bit. We're about there. Looks good. So let's go Shift Option Z to pop into 1:1 pixels or 100%. And yeah, we got a nice grainy black and white image. Now, a fun thing you can do, I'll hit Z just to pop back out to full screen. Now we've been using layer modes or layer nodes a whole bunch up till now, but one thing that's super useful to do is using, let's see, let's make all of this compound node. So it just makes it out of the way. So now we can go Option S to give us a new node, and then Option L will give us a layer, and option C, option P for parallel. Yeah, option P. So just hit option P and you get a parallel node, and we know it's a parallel node because we got this morph into layer mixer node. We can change it to a layer mixer node, but we don't want that because we are going to, if we hit option P again, get another one. Look at that. Option P again. You just keep on adding these. And why would we want parallel nodes as opposed to layer nodes? Well, this works in black and white or color, but traditionally what I'm about to do is more of a black and white thing. And that is what's known as dodge and burn. So we can go to here. And the reason we want to use parallel nodes is because we can draw a mask essentially. And I'm just being real quick and rough with it just to kind of show you the idea. But we can draw a mask and we got a mask. Now we can make our mask softer. Oh, Anyways, so we can make our mask and we can brighten or darken, dodging or burning. Dodging makes things, I think is the term for making things brighter, and burning is making for darker, but I get them mixed up sometimes. I don't remember. So we can go inside, outside. We can expand this. We can essentially soften the edges here a little bit. Expand it out. We can soften it. And let me pop into 100% here. So what we're doing is just making that part of the image brighter, right? It's kind of cool. So if we turn this off, she's a little darker. Turn it on, she's a little brighter. So you can kind of tone your image. Now let's say we wanted to make this bit darker, or actually let's say we want to make her pants darker. It almost looks like she's not wearing pants, but she is, I assure you. So we'll go to this node and we'll go to here and we'll just draw a mask to darken up them pants. Not the shoes though. And like I said, I'm just being quick and dirty with it just to kind of give you an idea of what to do. And yeah, we got that, and we're gonna give it a little bit of a soft edge. Yeah. Nice and soft. All right. We're gonna darken that down. And we're gonna up the contrast, because that's a fun thing to do too. Instead of just making a thing darker or lighter, one thing I love to do in black and white is make your dodge and burn selection masks and then just crank the contrast up or down. So you can do things like that. So now these are overlapping each other, which if you did this in serial nodes where the two masks overlapped, you'd get weird effects of basically like, because you're making one thing darker and one thing brighter, you'd get weird overlaps. I would show it, but also lazy. No, let's go like this. So let's go copy and option S and paste. And we'll go to here and we'll go copy. Click this one, option S and paste. And if we turn these off, And we just look at this. You don't see it too badly, but it does look different. And so we got that versus that. Will just give you a cleaner look, because when you're doing parallel nodes like this, it's just taking the sum of all the pixels. It's not saying this and then this and, you know, then this. It's just saying all of this, whatever the value equals out to, is what happens here. So other people on YouTube explain this a lot better than I do, sadly, but we're going to delete. Delete. And delete. No. Okay, so that's cool, right? Or not. Gonna go Z, and we're gonna go one more mask down on this node just for funsies. We're gonna go like this, and I'm gonna do some more contrast, because I think that contrast is just a fun way to use parallel nodes like this. Hopefully I'm talking loud enough. Good Lord. But yeah, parallel nodes. And like I said, this works this exact same way in video. The only thing is, if your shot isn't locked down on a tripod, you got to animate your masks so that they move with your image. But so we're going to put that about 4. Yeah, whatever. And outside, grow it a little bit, but not too much. And we're going to put our softness at 5. All right, and now we can just go contrast. Ooh, we can go crazy with the contrast. Don't want to go too crazy, because we don't want to make it look weird, right? Don't want to make it look weird. That'd be weird. Yeah. How weird is too weird. And then we can play with the pivot. Pivot just moves again where our light or our dark is. And look at that. Isn't that cool? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't look cool, but I think it kind of does. So yeah, we could come in and mask this a little bit and make it a little bit less shiny bright, or not. But you can see the potential with any photograph if you want to do selective toning. Because really the point of editing is to make it so that the eye is drawn to the thing that you wanted to highlight, right, when you took the photograph, or the subject of the photograph, or, you know, whatever. Yeah, so this has all been pretty random, I'm sure. I'm sure not a lot of people out there being like, you know, how can I take half-assed infrared photos without an infrared converted camera and then kind of like, you know, make them look weirder in the edit. But yeah, if anybody ever was looking for that, there you go. At the point in my photographic journey, you've got to look up at the camera. My monitor's pretty high up above me. I could adjust my seat up, I guess, but too lazy. Anyways, at this point in my photographic life, I'm more interested in the process of it than the outcome of it. So like, this isn't a good photograph, obviously, but it was fun to take it, and it was fun to play around with the means of doing it, right? You know, one other thing I might like to do is take this node that we're on right now and make this shadow deeper right down here. That'd be kind of cool, right? But yeah, so like, I don't know. You hear a lot of people being like, "Oh, enjoy the process. Art is about the process," and it's like, yeah, it's true for sure. Um, Not really, obviously, doing anything uh, commercially viable with my photography or videography. Not that I wouldn't like to make some money doing this stuff, but that just brings weird uh, expectations. I don't know. It's just it's more fun just to mess around, right, with stuff. So we want to go up that contrast a little bit, just a smidge. Pull that pivot down. Pull the exposure down a little bit too. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Doesn't that look cool? Wowee. I don't know. Does it look cool? Make this guy over here small. Does that look cool, you guys? I think it kind of does. It looks like something, right? It's weird. Definitely something. So anyway, that is, I'm just hitting sorry, up beyond this one, hitting Shift F to get in and out of that view, which is kind of not a full screen view, but like that's a useful view if you are, let me show you real quick. The Shift F view is useful if you're using effects because, what's a good effect? Suppose we were putting a effect that had a bunch of parameters in it, right? So if we go like this and then we hit Shift F, it's going to show us a large view of just that thing, but with our effects parameters over here. And so you can still use 100% view to look at it at 100%. Mess around with your effects over here. Let's jack that saturation up. Wow, that looks crazy. I don't know where it's getting color from a black and white image, but yeah. Anyways, that is the Shift F mode. I don't know I don't know what they call that mode, honestly, but it's useful for doing effects. Not so much useful for doing things in nodes where you're using the controls down here because it hides them, obviously. So that's not super useful, but yeah. So anyway, that's my Friday. Not much else to report. Hopefully you've seen some cool movies from the library. I got a bunch of movies from the library that I haven't watched yet, so I got to get on that. But I did watch the movie that I've been most anticipating for this whole year so far, which was Masters of the Universe, the new He-Man movie. And it was fine. It was cute. I saw it on Amazon Prime, which I don't pay for, so that was a big bonus. Didn't have to pay to watch it. But I don't know. It was an extremely colorful movie. And even though Amazon Prime was displaying it in supposed UHD with HDR10 plus, if it were to come out in a 4K with Dolby Vision, I'd be tempted to pick it up just because super colorful. A lot of shots, the skin tones looked a little bit, a little. When you push a look too hard, it tends to sometimes go cartoony looking. But I don't know. It was cute enough. So I really enjoyed Alison Brie as Evil Lynn. That was pretty cute, and Jared Leto did perfectly fine as Skeletor. It was good. So if you like He-Man, check it out. But I will check all y'all out next week. Have a good one.